What's up, world? My name is DJ Ollie Red, and you are now tuned into a new episode of the All Things House podcast. Tonight, we have a very special guest by the way of Virginia, my dude, G-Murph.
What up,
What's
dude?
up, dog? How you doing, man?
Good, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming by, man.
Of course. Glad to be here. I'm
Definitely,
excited.
definitely.
This is my first interview related to DJing.
Yeah?
So, yeah, I'm stoked.
Good, man. Good. So let's get right into it, man. So, Virginia, what made you come out here to sunny San Diego?
It's kind of a long story, but the short of it is I was sick of Virginia and the DC area and knew that my life was destined for more than just boring corporate jobs. So, granted, I worked a couple of those along the way out here, but I knew that the vibe was better out here, for one, at least, for sure. And I was actually going to use San Diego as a stepping stone to LA to do something with music and or action sports. So I chose music because music has always been part of my life and I love it. And yeah, here I am now. So 6.5, almost 7 years in April, years later.
Nice. So the music that's the one that you kind of peeled off for. That's what you kind of envisioned yourself doing.
Yeah, actually, not to get too into it, but I actually took a internship with a company called Bamboo Skateboards out here to just kind of as an excuse, as a push to come out here because I didn't have a job. And I used that because, action sports was an option. That ended 2 weeks after it started. Yeah. Because from my call, it was the worst. It was the worst internship I've ever done / almost job. So I quit that and was like, well, at least I'm in California, back to the drawing board. Okay. And then kind of found my way into liking music a lot more and figuring I could do a lot more with that than action sports. That's where my heart was. Okay. And so I started calling around and one thing led to another. I hit up a DJ academy that was owned by an event production company and then interned for that event production company, ended up being full-time for them and started DJing with them. Okay. So that's kind of where you started the whole thing about wanting to DJ, right? Yeah. At this event academy. So that was the original plan. And then I kind of worked my way into running that DJ academy. Not very well, but I did. Okay. And I was actually signing up students for the academy and not knowing how to DJ myself. Oh, nice. So I was like, it might be a smart idea to learn how to DJ at this point. Yeah, for sure. So I can not only talk the talk, but walk the walk. For sure. Definitely. And that was in 2014, mid 2014-ish. So 2014-ish, that's when you began the beginning part of learning how to DJ? I would say early 2014. Okay. That makes more sense in my mind. Yeah. And did you start off with house music? Do you start off with top 40 or like what is your top 40 squeaky clean music to play in front of kids at elementary schools? Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Everybody starts somewhere, That was my first gig. Yeah. So from then to now, you said you worked a couple of jobs. You didn't really like those jobs. And now, exclusive potters out there, this is our first guest that is a full-time DJ. Oh, okay. That's all he does is DJ. All right. So do you want to explain to some of the guys that want to quit their 9-to-5s, what is kind of your first step to becoming a full-time DJ? I think it's all about knowing deep down in your heart when is the time to make that move, because I've tried it before and I failed. That was 2 years ago. And this is the second time I've now done it, this time successfully, both stemming from the loss of a job. Okay. So take your curses as blessings, guys. I lost my job and said, I'm fed up with this. I am finally going to make this happen. But there was a foundation somewhat built to that point. So I have a sales background. I know how to cold call. I know how to hit up random businesses and basically get their business. And that's what I've done the last couple months to get my gigs going to make this a full-time thing, even though I gave myself no other options. So I guess you really have to just be ready for it and just know that you can do it, because absolutely each and every one of you can. It's just kind of like stepping over the fear. And it helps to have a little bit of money saved, like you and I were talking about earlier. Because that provides a cushion, a little bit of a safety net that you really shouldn't rely on at all. But in fact, it might even be better to not have money, so you actually bust your ass a little bit more. But regardless, it doesn't hurt. At least for me, it didn't. So, you know, it was just kind of an aligning of the stars. This is what I wanted to do. And I was always telling myself I would do this one day, but it's, you know, I've heard this before said too. It's like, have a steady job that pays you, but that you don't necessarily love.
Correct.
Because that job that you quote love is going to keep bringing you back with all the goodies. Especially if you're a good employee, they're going to want to keep you around and they're going to entice you. And like every sale you make, every new person you make, every new person you meet, every new deal you score, it's going to sweeten that deal to stay there and make that your life. And that's totally cool if you want to do that and do DJing on the side. Like a lot of people do that. But if you want to be a full-time DJ, you got to realize that that's actually holding you back.
Correct. So basically the good advice for everyone out there is just to take that first step. Just do it. Be a doer. It's scary.
Right.
I'm sure it has to be scary, you know? But it is one of those things, man. You got to put that one foot in front of the other and just kind of keep on pushing, you know? It's one of those things, man.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to mindset too, because I didn't necessarily take that step. It kind of happened, and then I decided to take that step. Like I was forced to take that step because of my job, and I was like, well, I know I can do this. I might as well try it now again. But anyone can just quit their job and do it. Which I absolutely recommend. Just do it. Screw the corporate world. Screw working for anyone else. Work for yourself, guys.
Yeah, man. Don't work for the man. Be the man.
Right. And being your own boss is the best. I mean, setting your own schedule, making your own calls. Every sale comes to you. You don't got to worry about anything besides managing your money, your time, which is a whole different story. But it's totally worth it. And I've had a blast the last 4 months. Really, I'm brand new to this. But, you know, talk to me again in a year. I guarantee you I'll still be here.
We will. We definitely believe in you. Definitely believe in you, man. Definitely, for sure. So, house music. That's why we're here.
That's why we're here.
House music. So, when did you start becoming a fan of house music? Like what year? Was it the years that you want to start doing, like around 2014-ish, like around there, or a little before that?
No, actually, I'd say it was in college, which was, I'd venture to say my second year in college, which was 2005.
Okay.
I kind of had a little bit of taste and exposure to it prior, but I was always into rock and hip hop.
Okay.
And, you know, some top 40, just anything with a good beat.
Yeah.
And then I got exposed to some really good house music. And I think around that time, like the production in top 40 was kind of taking a turn too.
Okay.
There were a lot more, for lack of a better term, like juicy, like really tight beats that sometimes resembled what could be a house beat today.
Yeah.
And I started catching on to that, and my roommates exposed me to more house. It wasn't their full-time favorite genre, but it got sprinkled in here and there. And then I don't even know what song it was. I could probably think back, but one day I was just like, wow, I really love the four to the floor kind of methodology and what that does, and the fact that you can keep a constant rhythm with it and then just flow with that rhythm. At the time it was in dancing, you know, how you moved on the dance floor, because I didn't know how to DJ at the time. And just being a natural music lover, like started really kind of analyzing mentally like what those beats are comprised of, and then the bass behind it and the melodies, and started figuring out different artists. And so it kind of started from there. Around 2010, maybe 2011, I think EDM might have been at its peak, or you know, and so that was good timing. went to a few festivals, really fell in love with it there, and liked it ever since around 2010, 2011, like for sure, officially like one of my favorite genres.
Yeah.
In addition to rock at the time and hip hop.
Okay.
For the record though, I love all types of music, but house is either you get it or you don't. Yep. It is a process, kind of like I explained terribly there, but I think everyone can learn to love it, and I'm glad it's still a big part of my life.
For sure. So you said you moved out here in 2013. 13ish, okay.
Yeah.
So the house music from then to now, have you seen it? First we'll talk about the sound wise, music wise. Have you seen it grow, or kind of stay the same?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I've never really thought about that, but all these thoughts are coming to my head, so bear with me.
For sure. We got plenty of time, babe. Plenty of time.
Good. So, yeah, I think it's evolved massively, and maybe even a little bit, taken a little bit from the past. I don't know if you can call that evolution. Sure. Yeah. But I think the sound is a lot different from what house used to be. It's a lot, I don't know the verbiage, but it's better, and it's more diverse. I feel like it hits harder. It brings a certain energy that kind of gives you like a stink face on the dance floor, like damn, like what is this? Like you want to smile, but you just want to be like disgusted at the same time because it's a filthy beat.
Yep.
And that's what like I thrive off of, and I think there were a lot of pioneers for that sound, which I can't think of to begin with, but I will say that a gentleman by the name of Chris Lake is really heading up the game right now, and I think he's created his own sound. And I could even go into his relationship to Fisher, but that's a whole different type of genre topic, and how Fisher may or may not have borrowed a lot of his sounds from Chris Lake. But I feel like Chris Lake is really on top of the house sound right now, along with some other a little bit less mainstream artists that provide that really heavy hitting but like smooth in a way house sound that just makes you want to move.
Yeah.
So back in the day, I feel like it was just a little bit maybe more monotonous and not so melodic. In fact, I think it might have been a little bit too simple back in the day, and now it's with the evolution of music production.
Exactly, that's what it is. Yep.
They've been able to do a lot more with it. So there's a lot of haters out there that will be like, "Oh, rave, cool, man. Like it's smooth. That music is so boring. How do you like it?" Well, again, either you get it or you don't.
Yeah.
So, but it's evolving, and I think more people are opening their minds to it because of that newer, punchier, evolved sound, which is really exciting, and it can only evolve from here. Yeah. Not to mention the fact that disco, I think, is on its comeback or has already made a comeback. Yeah. Which is really exciting, and that ties into the whole house scene too.
Definitely. So we were talking about on previous episodes, there's two sides of it. There is a house side and there's a techno side, right?
True.
And everything else kind of falls in between.
True.
So for me, I think right now in the San Diego area, tech house it's at an all-time high. But I feel as though every couple years it goes back to house and it goes back to techno. Same like EDM. EDM is, dance music, right? So that was a wave, 5-10 year wave around there, right? And then it kind of went back to more housey stuff, and now it's going to go to tech house stuff right now, and that's kind of a perfect blend between techno and house. But like we said before, it always comes back to the house and techno. I think right now, techno is kind of going to go mainstream here soon. In my personal opinion, how do you see? Do you see that coming up, or is this that the disco?
That's a really good question. I really enjoy tech house.
Yeah.
Beyond tech house, I don't get too into techno. However, I do really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And there are some techno tracks out there that I do really like. They're not my most played tracks, but it's hard for me to say because I feel like Europe has a bigger stance on this. They always kind of have with techno. So it could be really bubbling up over there again. And I actually think it is. So you could be very right about that. But I think it's going to take a long time for or a little bit longer time for the mainstream America per se to really grab hold of techno. Tech house is a nice entry into that because it's got those the melodics and the bass and the beats that just drive dance floors crazy these days that people love and that people who don't know house can actually get down to. But techno is a little bit different. It's a little bit more driving bass, which people can get annoyed with in my experience. Because I run with a couple different groups of festival goers and some of them hate it. Some of them are okay with it. Some of them love it. So to answer your question, I hope so. Just to expand the minds of music listeners worldwide. I think it would be great if techno made a resurgence, if not overtaking of the music scene. But I'm super happy where house in general and tech house lies as it is, and I just hope it gets stronger.
It definitely. I think it will. When I say it's at its peak, not sure at its peak, but it's definitely coming up. Next 1 or 2 years, it's going to be, once things start crossing over to top 40, then I think it becomes more a massive thing, a mainstream thing. And the one track that kind of started that this summer or last summer or whenever the song came out was Fisher. We mentioned that earlier. That song, I remember when it came out before it got big. Nice song, but then it got picked up during the top 40. Got in the top 40 tracks.
You talking about Stop It or Roller Coaster or not Roller Coaster, Losing It.
Losing It. Once that song got picked up by the masses, then it became, Grammy nominated or whatever the fuck it is.
I think it is actually.
Right?
It was.
So I think once there's 1 or 2 songs that kind of get into the top 40, then you're going to have the mainstream people come in, and that's when it's going to go on its downslope because all the true house heads or tech house heads, they're going to be like, I don't want to do this shit no more because everybody knows about it.
Right.
What's next?
Right.
Yeah. So
that's a good point.
Yeah.
It's great for the scene, but it's also like, really?
Yeah. It becomes like oh,
you're Mr. Popular now.
Exactly.
Cool.
Exactly. One of those things.
Yeah, because it kind of loses its authenticity once it gets to that level. It seems like, which is an oxymoron because it's such a great accomplishment, right?
Yeah.
But it is what it is because it's no fault to the song itself. It's just like what we do to the song.
Exactly.
It's like people beat it.
Yeah.
I guess.
I've heard people call him a sellout and all that stuff. I'm like, one, everybody wishes they had a number one song in the world.
Yeah, haters for sure.
And two, he didn't. Maybe he got some help from other people. That's whatever's clever, but nobody makes a song by themselves.
Right.
Now, the level of help, once again, that's something different. But everyone dreams to have a number one song. He's not a sellout for having a number one song. He didn't go out and intend it to be this big. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But it's just one of those things that happen,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's such a hot song. How could it not rise to the top?
Exactly.
And people are hating on that. For what reason? I don't understand. But they're acting like this is the end of it. Like there's going to be so many other great songs that have that potential. Like just let it go.
Yeah.
And let him have his glory.
Yep.
And be Fisher because Fisher has a great stage presence. And
he does, man.
You can't hate on him.
Nope.
Like even if that got him to the top, his stage presence itself, like do you, man.
Yeah.
And you do you separately.
Do you follow him on Instagram and all that stuff?
I do, yeah.
You do? So he is definitely and I don't mean this in a bad way, he's a character. Like he knows how to play for the camera. He knows how to, hype a crowd up.
For sure.
Which kind of brings me to my next topic. content and social medias. How do you see that play a role in either your deal right now as being a soul DJ, or how do you see that for someone coming up in the whole DJ scene or house music scene?
Yeah, that's a huge question, man. My mind is once again scattered with a lot of thoughts, but like the ones that come to mind first and foremost are it's a necessity.
Yeah.
It's an absolute must. It's your window to the world. It's your antenna. It's your beacon of how people find you these days. It's your resume.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I've gotten gigs passed up on me for lack of followers, or I should say the dude had more followers than me. But like there's a lot more to it than just that. Just because someone has a lot of followers doesn't mean they're going to show up to a gig, especially what kind of gig it depending on what kind of gig it is and where it is and what type of bar it is.
Or be good.
Yeah, yeah, or be good in general, right? Like, so social media is hugely important. I think we have to be careful with how we play with it because it's so vital.
Yeah.
I think it should be authentic, true to the heart. No fake BS, although you can't get around that because sometimes that's putting on an act to get more followers. And again, do you if that's how you're going to get to the top. But I genuinely believe that you should be you. You should do what you think is going to be good for your followers and be authentic and be entertaining. It's really just a kind of a complicated recipe to keep tasty, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think you just don't put any fake crap out there, like trying to help people that don't put any bad advice, I should say, out there.
Okay.
So do it in the best interest of your followers. I guess is where I'm headed.
Yeah.
Is where I want my social media to go. And I always think about, is my audience going to like this? I have a small audience right now, but regardless, they're my audience.
Yep.
And I want to know that they're enjoying what I post, and it's not something that I'm bragging about. It's not something that's putting someone else down. It's not something that's super opinionated. Although all that is very entertaining. So again, I'm kind of like going back and forth on this, and I haven't quite figured it out. Social media is an ever-changing beast.
It is.
And we have to stay on top of it and be vigilant because it is a vital part of your marketing strategy, if not your marketing strategy as a whole these days.
Correct. So the way I think of it is social media is one aspect of it. You know, going out, shaking hands, kissing babies is another part of it. Having quality mixes online where people have, access to your mixes. And then kind of supporting your friends, you know. I know you've come to some of my gigs. I've come to some of your gigs. Not because I want anything from you. It's because we're boys. You know what I mean?
For sure, no doubt.
And that's what I think a lot of people need to learn. One, when you go out and introduce yourself, try not to ask for something right off the jump.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Don't ask for stuff. If it comes up in conversation, cool. Hey, I'm a DJ, blah 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 blah. Cool. But just don't walk up. Hey, my name's Oliver. Hey, can I DJ this day? That's not gonna work.
No, that's gonna put you on my list.
Exactly.
My fake list.
Your fake list. Yep. Now, if it comes up organically, or if you're online, you DM a group. Hey, I like what you're doing. I like to come out and support. How do you guys select your DJs? Blah, 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 blah. Just don't run up in them and be like, yo, man, can I get on the decks? One, I don't know you, so get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And two, that's not how things really work. You know what I mean? So that's my advice to.
You brought up 3 really good points.
Yeah.
Support your fellow DJs and your friends in general, period. And I would like to do a whole podcast on supporting your friends. I think that's really important in this day and age.
Yeah.
And I forget the other 2. You said
friends, social media DM, and then going out and shaking
and networking. Right. Yeah. Those are 3 for sure. 3 pillars of success. and all those tie into social media, I think, as a whole. But yeah, I mean, honestly, you should probably do a whole podcast on each one of those.
Yeah, definitely. It could be a topic, man. I'll write that down, man.
Yeah,
definitely.
But those are super important.
I like Instagram because it makes the world smaller too. You know, I could see what's going on in France, and I can see what's going on in Italy. I can see what's going on in Ireland. Different festivals that, you know, back in the day when we were, you know, coming up younger, there was no such thing. Because we're like one of the last. How are you? 35-ish?
33.
33. So we were one of the last age groups that didn't have internet.
Right.
We didn't have social media.
Right.
We had to talk on the phone. We had dial up. Prior to, you know, stuff like that. So like we've
seen it all.
Yep. But and that's why I don't want to be a dinosaur in the social media world. I'm trying to keep up on the newest TikToks and Instagrams and Facebooks and that. Like, it's a full-time job, man. It's definitely like a science to learning all this stuff. Algorithms.
Definitely,
now.
Man.
Yeah.
Definitely. It is a science.
Yeah.
It has a bunch of strategy involved, a bunch of work, a bunch of hours.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, there should be a team on it, which all of us can't afford the luxury of having.
Correct.
Right now.
But
at some point,
the best thing about it is a lot of these people that have teams are very well versed in the subject. They have YouTube. So YouTube, I treat YouTube like Google.
Yep.
So if I don't know something, I don't go to Google. YouTube. How do you do this? How do you do that? Boom. So I try to learn as much as I can, as fast as I can, at my level. Obviously, I don't do this full time, so there's only a cap. There's only a certain cap I can reach. You know, with that.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, in this day and age, you have to be a social media machine.
Yeah.
And as a DJ too, well, with anything really in the digital world, but DJing in particular. I mean, people win competitions online now for DJing just from a submission from social media. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. But you have to be a social media machine. You have to be a learning machine.
Definitely.
Which you just kind of touched on. You have to learn everything you possibly can, as quick as you can to stay ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Don't ever become a dinosaur.
Never.
Don't become like our boomer parents.
Never.
Don't do that.
Nah, man.
I vow not to ever do that.
Yeah, because you will get left behind. Things are too fast, man.
Right.
Things are too fast. I mean, something could be cool now. In a month, it's like, what was that? That was so long ago, you know?
Yeah, and that's what's crazy about this day and age is like how quickly fads move and how just quickly evolution moves too.
Yeah.
So you got to be on top of it, and that circles back to DJing too. Like, what are the hot songs right now? What songs are gonna die out?
Yeah.
When are they gonna come back? What songs can you bring back? What songs are you gonna experiment with bringing back? Are they gonna work? What songs are related to that might or may not work? Are you gonna play new shit or old shit? Are you gonna play a mixture of it? So you gotta be on top of it all.
Definitely, man. Definitely. It's definitely a evolving thing, man. For sure. So we're at the end of the podcast right now, my man. It was a great podcast. I think we could keep on going more, but we're in a little time constraint. But do you have anything that you want to plug or anything?
I really appreciate you having me on, Ollie.
Sure, man. For sure.
It's been fun. Like I said, first interview related to DJing. So hopefully this isn't the last, and I look forward to many more to come. The only other thing I'm doing besides DJing right now is teaching on the side. So I run a small business out of my apartment called Mission DJ.
Okay.
I'd like to plug it as the best instruction in San Diego right now.
For sure.
There's a lot of online schools out there right now, and they're amazing. But I intend to put a little bit online, tips and tricks and that sort of thing. But really, the bread and butter is the in-person instruction, which I encourage everyone to do if they're having any trouble online. I could show you basics, beginner to advanced instruction. So that's my little plug.
Nice.
Other than that, I'm really looking forward to just continuing life as a full-time DJ and networking with fine individuals like yourself.
My dude, you want to shout out to your socials?
Yes, you can find me at DJ-GMRF. If you haven't figured that out, that's G-Murph, at DJ-GMRF on IG, Facebook, and that's pretty much all I use right now.
Cool, man. Cool.
Same thing with Mission DJ at mission.dj, just like it sounds.
Cool, bro. Well, once again, man, thank you for coming, and let's get to the decks, man. You know
Sounds great, man. Appreciate it.
Let's go. Hell yeah.